Hi, and welcome to another edition of Average Joe's 3D. I'm your host, Fergie. Today's a special edition of Average Joe's 3D. It's the Nintendo Switch accessory version of 2017. So stand by and we'll have a lot of fun with the Nintendo Switch. Like almost everybody else I know out there, I also got a Nintendo Switch. Great game. It is the #1 selling video game out there right now. And the one thing I really like about it is the support that they have from the software developer community. So many games are coming out, it's like they're tripping over each other to get games out for the Switch, which is pretty amazing. But accessories don't keep up with the advancements as well as the game developers do. Even if you go on Amazon and other sites, the Switch accessories are kind of sparse, and what you see is just redundant. They're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's where the maker community really shines. They've come up with some unique inventions and accessories just for the Nintendo Switch that you can print out. And that is really one of the main reasons I got a 3D printer for, is printing out practical things that I'll use every day. We're going to look at three categories. We're going to look at stands, we're going to look at joined stands, and we're going to take a look at handheld. Now, I used a CR10 and an Ender 2 for all these prints. The resolution was a 0.2 millimeter, a 10% infill for all of them, and most of them did not require any supports at all. So, when you print these, especially with a Nintendo, make sure that you print them standing up for everything that has a rail. That means that the rails, because of the way they're printed standing up, will be much smoother and there won't be any sanding or trimming later on. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. This is the Nintendo Switch Portable Charging Station. This is downloaded from Thingiverse. All these are from Thingiverse. They are the top 5 accessories that are listed there. This is Zelda themed, which is really kind of cool. It is foldable, so you can fold it all the way flat. And it is got a nice wide base on it, and it's a 60-degree viewing angle. Very easy to use and play with and adjust anywhere you are. It does allow you to have free access for charging. So let's take a look at how this was printed. Now, it's printed in 3 pieces, left, right, and middle. And then the hinges, the holes in the hinges are 0.75, which is the same diameter as filament. And what they recommend you do is you go ahead and slide the filament into the hinges. That way you don't have to buy any metal pins. You can do it right there on your desktop, and they can be removed anytime they want. Now, I set this up so they're not removable. I left a little in the back here sticking out, used a soldering iron, and just melted them in place so that my hinge pins won't come out anytime soon. But that's okay, I'm alright with that because it does fold flat. The person who developed it did recommend a 30% infill. I thought that was kind of a lot, considering that it's just folding flat and all of the strength needs to be downward instead of flexing sideways. So I went with a 10% infill, and the 10% infill feels really solid. Make sure that when you're printing something flat, you do just use a skirt or a brim touching the piece. That prevents it from like curving up and warping. So that is the Nintendo Switch Portable Charging Stand. It can be found on Thingiverse, and I will have links in the description below. Now, the second one is kind of unique. This is a flat folding stand. It doesn't look like much here. In fact, it is a little bit smaller than a Galaxy S7, and yet it is a full stand. This does print as one piece, all the hinges and everything. And so you fold the hinges out like this, and you fold these back like this for the back, and then you slide these through here, and you have a stand. Now, this is a 45-degree angle. I will show you that there are small dimples here and here that line up with the holes in your switch, so that although it's not as big a back, it does catch those dimples and hold it in place really well. You can still do charging. It's great for travel. And they did recommend 15% infill, but once again I went with only 10%, and I printed this flat with no supports at all. Now, when I went to break the hinges free, it was a little rough. I'm not going to lie to you. So I did use an X-Acto knife. I had some coasting across the gaps, so I went through, cleaned them all out, and then I used the X-Acto knife to start to move it forward just a little bit. And once I had some play, I could move it back and forth, easing the pins in place instead of like popping them out and maybe having them break. So this thing is very cool. It prints in one piece, which is pretty amazing. Every time I can print something in one piece that unfolds, I'm always happy, because that is ingenious. Whoever designed this, great job. Definitely recommend printing this out. It is genius if you're going to be on the go or putting this in a backpack. Now, the next one is a little bit bigger here. I'll go ahead and show you. This is the Comfort Grip Nintendo Switch holder. It is designed on an Xbox style grip for their controllers. Probably the most comfortable thing here. Look at the curves in the back here. They really fit your hand perfectly. They even have a place up here to rest your thumb when you're playing. Now, you can't just stick this in place. You're going to have to play it with the Joy-Cons attached. But I'm going to tell you that when this got off the CR10 printer, I just snapped it right in place with any kind of sanding or trimming at all. Pretty incredible. Now, this is 300 millimeters, which means if you don't have a CR10, you'll have to print it sideways, diagonally, or it does include a two-piece version for something smaller like maybe an Ender 2. Its build plate is only 150. I did print this standing up, and everything was perfectly smooth on it. I'm really happy with this. This is the most comfortable thing that I've printed so far. So I definitely recommend printing this out, because if you need extended play, if you're playing for a long time, this is very comfortable. So that was the Nintendo Switch Comfort Grip. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some single Joy-Con holders here. Alright, so Joy-Cons that aren't attached to the Nintendo Switch. The first one we're going to look at is the called the single Joy-Con grip. Now you can see these are ambidextrous. They can go left or right, it doesn't matter. I did print them flat, and they came up, which is great. I did want to mention on the Comfort Grip, I forgot to mention this, this will require supports. You're going to need supports underneath here. So this is the only one that requires supports, but I used a fan fold support and they came right off. Right now, these grips are great. They're ambidextrous. You just put the plus or minus end in first, the trigger, and then pop that in place. Now you can see there's extra plastic, and the extra plastic is for this wrist guard. So when the wrist is in place, it takes up the rest of that space where the plastic is. The only caveat I have about this is, although you can get to your trigger, this is your like ZL, you can't get to the second trigger up here. So if your game that you're playing requires you to press this button, these controllers won't work with games that require you to hit the R and L shoulder buttons. Alright, so let's take a look at one of my favorites. This is the Yukon. This is called the Nintendo Switch Con U Z2 V2 version 2. Right? It's printed like this, straight up and down. And the great thing about this is it has a place for the wrist straps as well. So you take your wrist straps and you slide them like this in place. Then you slide, there we go. And then you take your controllers and slide them like this. Now, not only is it very comfortable, doesn't require any supports, can be printed on any printer because it's not very big, but it's at an angle, and because it's at an angle, it's very comfortable to use for extended period of time. So this comes with a back and no back version. I did do the version with the back here because I thought it would be much stronger than not having it, and the back does not interfere with the wrist straps. If I could find the other wrist strap here. I have no idea where that went. Oh, here it is. Okay, I lost my wrist strap. So here's how the other wrist strap goes in, just like the other one does. There we go. You turn that like that and give it a crack, and look, everything's in one place. Even if you're just going to use this to store your controllers and your wrist straps while you're traveling in a backpack somewhere, you can pull it out and it's ready to go and everything's in place. This is still amazing. I love this thing. Not only that, but the rails were so smooth and so well designed, I didn't have to trim anything at all. It just came out ready to go. Pretty incredible. Highly recommend printing this out. Now the last one is also one of my favorites, but this didn't print as well. I did a lot of sanding to get this one to fit properly, but I'm glad I did, because this is probably the most popular one. When I show all my friends, they're like, oh dude, you gotta print me one of these for sure. This is the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con holder with a drink. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? You take your favorite beverage, pop it in place, and now you can stay hydrated when you play, because you know, staying hydrated is very important. And you can even print the front logo. So this was my Nintendo Switch accessory version of Average Joe's 3D. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, go ahead and subscribe so we can do more with the channel, and you have a great day.